transfers, because I think what we learnt last night, and if you're looking at the press this morning, there really is a need for Ralph Rangnick and Manchester United to bring in new players. I think that midfield area, Donny van der Beek spoke after the game last night about his mistake and how these players that played last night need more game time. They're rusty. I think we all know that. We had the issues with Jesse Lingard. I mean, I thought Lingard, Mata's going to go, Matic is going to go in the summer, Cavani's going to go in the summer, but I think people like Jesse Lingard, Paul Pogba, maybe even Donny van der Beek, they are players that we don't know what their future is, but what we do know the future is that this club is going to continue this season and into next season, and we do need to bring some players in around that midfield. I personally think Ralph Rangnick in the last 4 or 5 days has probably learned more about this club than maybe the previous regime learnt in 3 years. Certainly he will have learned that there are favourites within that football team that cannot be accommodated if we want to try and close the gap on the Liverpools and the Chelseas and the Manchester Cities of this world. So I think that especially with that, we've got Norwich, which we'll be doing the preview for this afternoon. We've got Brentford, then we've got Brighton, then we've got 9 days off. And I think in that 9 days, Ralph Rangnick's going to have to be sitting down with Murta and everybody else and deciding what sort of players they can bring into Manchester United. We've been linked to Leipzig's Hader. I even saw people linking us to other Leipzig players like Adams and Lemaire. I probably got the name wrong there, but it's not. He didn't. Although he had a massive part to do with Leipzig and Salzburg, there are other players out there, and I think with Ralph Rangnick, you saw him on the touchline yesterday. He is a player. He is a man. I wish he was a player. He is a man that's going to give us in-depth knowledge and scouting ability, and obviously he's looking to bring coaches in, but I think he's got to be looking to bring in players that are going to benefit Manchester United in the short term, and I think he's going to be fantastic at that with his wider knowledge of not just the European market but also the worldwide market. And I think, look, maybe Amadou Haidara is the sort of player that Manchester United need to bring in. I certainly think if you look at the performances yesterday, Nemanja Matic played at centre-back, but has he got the legs to play in the midfield? I don't think he has. Paul Pogba, there's a massive question mark about Paul Pogba, and that feeds into what we're here this morning to talk about, is what is the future for Manchester United? It's very difficult to judge a future in 6 or 7 days for Ralph Rangnick, but the midfield is something I've spoken about and you've spoken about for the last 2 years. We need a centre defensive midfielder. It's all right bringing in Rafael Varane and Jadon Sancho and fantastic players like Cristiano Ronaldo, but the engine room of that team, we've had Paul Ince on the show say it time and time again, this is a guy who played for Manchester United with the likes of Robson and Keane. You win, you lose in that midfield, and at the moment, look, Donny last night, I'll talk about him in a minute, but you've got McTominay and Fred, who are the incumbents of the midfield. They are the 2 midfielders. Now Fred has played really well recently, but let's not forget, up until 3 games ago, most people would have sold him to Stoke. They would have checked his passport and seen it had Stoke on it. McTominay, look, it was half decent at the weekend. There's still massive question marks, but the thing for me is it's not about whether McTominay or Fred are good enough. It's about what's beyond McTominay and Fred. Like, what if they do start playing badly? What if they do get injured? What if they do get suspended? Who is coming in after that? And I don't believe in Matic. There's nothing in the youth. So I think the January transfer window is massively important, that we do bring somebody in from there. And as I say, if it is Amadou Haidara for 30 million from Leipzig, then I haven't got a problem with that. But it could be